friends. Welcome to Godly Play at Home. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Hallelujah. So you might be joining us for worship today in person, but you might be worshiping at home, in which case here is a story and some time for work and feast and a blessing for you. And maybe you're coming to church and you still want to hear the story and finish your Lenten road today. Awesome. I'm so glad that you're here. When you're ready, let's get going. Come on.
Hi, it's time to change the circle of the church year. It's Easter! Happy Easter!
Good morning, everybody, and happy Easter. Christ has risen. What a wonderful day. I'm so happy to be here with all of you to celebrate this great mystery of Easter. And I'm really excited to share with you the final piece of our story, our Lenten road. So if everybody's ready, watch where I go to find our story. In the beginning, the baby was born. God chose Mary to be the mother of God. Listen carefully. Listen to those words. God chose Mary to be the mother of God. And the Word was born, a wordless child. When the baby looked up into the face of the Mother Mary, he already saw the cross. And when he looked into the face of the Father Joseph, the cross was there too. Mary and Joseph held the baby close. They kept the baby warm. They gave the baby everything that he needed to grow. And he began to grow. The baby grew and became a boy. And when he was about 12 years old, Jesus traveled with the Mother Mary and the Father Joseph and many other people from their village in Nazareth to the great city of Jerusalem to celebrate one of the high holy days. When the celebration was over, Mary and Joseph and many other people from their village went out through the gates and headed toward home. Suddenly, they realized that Jesus was not with them. They thought he had been playing with the other children as they walked along the road. They hurried back through the gates to look for him. They looked in the dark and narrow streets. They looked in the marketplace where they had bought their food. They looked in the place where they had spent the night. They looked everywhere. Finally, they even looked in the temple, and there he was, talking with the rabbis, the priests. When he talked, they listened because he knew so much. And when they talked, he listened because he wanted to know more. Then Mary and Joseph asked Jesus the question, that all parents ask their children, the one you can never answer, "Why did you do this?" And Jesus said something very strange. He said, "Didn't you know I would be in my Father's house?" Mary and Joseph didn't understand. Their home was in Nazareth, where Joseph's carpentry shop was. They didn't understand, but they did not forget. Jesus grew and became a man. And when he was about 30 years old, he went down to the river Jordan, where his cousin John was baptizing people. Do you see John? You can just see the back of his head right here. He was a wild man. Jesus waded into the river and came face to face with John and said, "Baptize me." John looked at Jesus as if seeing him for the very first time. Now he saw who he really was. John said, "I can't baptize you. You are the Messiah, the one we have been waiting for. You must baptize me." But Jesus said, "No. It is written that you must come before me and prepare the way. Baptize me." And so John took Jesus down into the dark and chaos of the water. And when John lifted him back up into the light, there were people there who said that they had seen a dove come down close to him. There were also people there that day who said they heard a voice that said, "This is my beloved Son, for whom I am well pleased." After Jesus was baptized, he went on across the river and into the desert. He stayed there for 40 days and for 40 nights to learn more about who he really was and what his work was to be. Jesus went into the desert to learn more about who he was supposed to be and what his work would be. He stayed there for 40 days and 40 nights. There was very little to eat or drink. One day, he heard a voice. It said, "Why don't you pick up one of those stones over there and turn it into bread and have something to eat?" But Jesus said, "No. To be a real human being, we need more than just bread to eat." And then it was as if Jesus were on top of the great temple in Jerusalem. The voice came back and said, "If you really are the Son of God, why don't you jump and see if God will send his angels to catch you before you hit the stones below?" But Jesus said, "No, we do not need to test God." And then it was as if Jesus could see every kingdom in all of the world. And the voice came back again and said, "If you will follow me, I will make you king over all of these kingdoms." But Jesus said, "No, I am to be a king, but not that kind of king. And then the voice went away, and Jesus walked out of the desert to begin his work. But what was his work? When Jesus left the desert, he began to do his work. But what was his work? Jesus' work was to come close to people, especially the people that no one else wanted to come close to. See here, Jesus has come close to this blind man. He has come so close that he is touching his eyes. When Jesus came close to people, they changed. They could see things they had never seen before. They could do things they had never done before. They became well. Jesus also told parables. And finally, he realized he had to become a parable. And so he turned toward Jerusalem for the last time. Jesus went to Jerusalem for the last time. It was the time of the Passover, and the city was full of people from many different lands. They thought Jesus was coming to be king, but they weren't paying attention. Jesus didn't ride into the city on a great white horse. He wasn't being carried by soldiers. He was riding on a donkey, and it wasn't even his. He had borrowed it. Still, that Sunday, Jesus rode into Jerusalem, and the people still waved palm branches, for that was a sign of the King. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Jesus went to the temple to teach, and every night he went to the Mount of Olives with the 12. The people watched and whispered. They said the Mount of Olives was where angels were going to come down and form an army to drive away the Roman soldiers. One day when Jesus was teaching in the temple, he said, "Look over there. Do you see that old woman? She has brought something to put in the money box. Listen. Did you hear it? No? She put the smallest coin that there is into the money box. That was all that she had. Now, look over there. There is a rich man. He has brought so much money that he has to have help carrying it. When he puts his money into the money box, it makes a loud ringing and clanging noise. Now, I wonder who really gave the most. Some people say it was the rich man who gave the most. Others say it was the old woman. The Roman guards said on Thursday We will take him. But on Thursday, they couldn't find him. That evening, Jesus and the 12 hurried through the dark streets to a house. They climbed a set of stairs to an upper room where they shared their Last Supper together. After they had all had everything they needed to eat, Jesus took a loaf of bread. He gave thanks to God for it and broke it and said something like, "Whenever you are together and break bread like this, I will be here." Jesus also took a cup of wine, gave thanks to God for it, and said, "Whenever you share a cup of wine like this, I will be here with you." What was he talking about? He was always saying things like this. The 12 didn't understand, but they didn't forget. And soon they would understand. Suddenly, Judas got up and left. The rest sang a hymn together and went to the Garden of Gethsemane on the Mount of Olives. Jesus wanted to pray. And when he finished, he joined the others. And Judas came out of the darkness to greet him. This was the signal for the Roman guards to get Jesus. They too came out of the darkness and took Jesus away into the shadows. The 12 disappeared into the darkness as well. The night was a confusing one. The next day, Jesus was taken outside the walls of the city and crucified. That afternoon, Jesus died, and the sky grew dark. Jesus' body was taken off of the cross and buried in a tomb. A great stone was rolled in front of the cave to close it like a door. Saturday was so quiet, you could almost hear the earth breathing. And on Sunday, it was the women who had the courage to go to the tomb just to be close to Jesus. They wanted to remember, even if it was sad. When they got to the tomb, they found that the stone had been rolled away and the tomb was empty. Jesus had died on a cross, and yet somehow he was still with them, just as he is with us, especially in the bread and the wine. You see, when we see this side, we know that there is the other side. And when we see this side, we know that this side is here too. We can't pull them apart. And this is the great mystery of Easter. And that makes all the difference. And so, the colors change. Wait a minute. Something isn't quite right. We have a beginning and a middle and an ending. And if we only had this side, that would be an ending. But there is also this side. So the ending is like a beginning. So we cannot leave this story in a line. Let's see what we can do. And now the story can go on forever. Now, I wonder what part of this story you like the best. I wonder what part of this story is the most important. I wonder where you are in this story, or what part of this story is about you. I wonder if there's any part of this story that we can leave out and still have all the story that we need. Okay. This has been a long story to get to the mystery of Easter. I'm so glad we got to be together to learn the story of Jesus' life, and that it's not an ending, it's a beginning, and the story will always go on as long as you're there to tell it. So now it's time to get out our work. And I know that you have been making your own Lenten road at home. Maybe you'll want to finish that today. I'm sure there are lots of other things going on this Easter Sunday, but hopefully you'll find some work that's special to you, and only you know what that will be. So I invite you now to go find your work and enjoy your work, and we'll see you back here for feast.
Welcome to work time. I've got my little helper Isla with me today. So today we're gonna finish up our Lenten road. We've just got this one white square left, the Easter square. You might remember from today's story that there's actually a two-sided square, Good Friday Jesus, Easter Jesus, And in your kits that we sent home at the beginning of Lent, there was a 2-sided canvas in there, so you could paint on both sides. If you don't have that anymore, no worries. You can just use a piece of paper like I did. So here is my Good Friday Jesus. And I'm actually going to let Isla draw the Easter Jesus. We'll show you, and then we'll let you go to work. So come back in just 1 second. Okay, we're back, and Isla has finished her side of the Easter card.
Are you ready? Are you sure? Okay. Ba-bam!
Rainbow Easter Jesus!
He has a flower crown.
That's very cool. Thank you, Isla. I bet you guys are coming up with all sorts of creative things to do today, whether you continued on your Lenten road or whether you worked on something entirely different. We are so glad that we got to work together today. When you're ready, don't forget to clean up and join us for feast.
All right, it's feast time. Hopefully your Easter work is put away. You've finished your Lenten road maybe, and you have put everything away nice and neat so it's ready for the next work time. It's very important because now we're here at our feast. It's time to be together in community and enjoy this food and each other's presence. Let's say thanks for this food. Will you pray with me? Dear Jesus, we're so grateful for all of these children, and we're so grateful for your life and for showing us the true mystery of Easter. We ask that you bless this food, help it to nourish our bodies so we can go out and tell the story of your life, Jesus. Amen. Okay, let's enjoy our Easter feast. I look forward to continuing the Easter season with you next time. Until then, have a great week. Bye.